Alright, so here we are, game 6, Vanksy playing team deathmatch on the village. Got a lot of repeat maps this week. It's just the way things worked out. But as I was saying in the last video, Black Dynamite. Right, yeah, it's like it's basically, it's a blaxploitation video, film, not video. Starring Michael Jai White, Nicole Sullivan's in there. Who else? Sally Richardson. She looks a lot like Pam Grier, like a younger Pam Grier. She was also in A Low Down Dirty Shame. I don't know if any of you remember that movie. I actually really liked that movie. It didn't do too well in theaters, but it was really good. And it had Jada Pinkett Smith before she was Jada Pinkett Smith. She was just Jada Pinkett. And she looked, well, yeah, she looked very good in that movie. Still looks good today, but in that movie, she was really something else. And that was back when she used to act like wild and crazy. But it wasn't like Lindsay Lohan wild and crazy. It was like, for comedic purposes, it was funny. And she was good at it. So, you know, it definitely added to her appeal. She was on a different world, too. Damn, you know, I really feel old mentioning all this shit. But anyway, going back to Black Dynamite. That movie's hilarious. It's, if you're a fan of, like, the old blaxploitation movies or old, like, you know, like, films like The Mac, Willie Dynamite, there's a scene, there's actually a scene which is a throwback to Willie Dynamite. And, you know, films in that genre, you'll definitely get a kick out of this movie. But it's still very funny if you weren't into those movies. But if you were, you'll get more out of it. And also, those of you who are subscribed, well, that's pretty much everybody, because this video is going to be unlisted for a while, like the rest of them. But Michael Jai White was in that Mortal Kombat Rebirth pitch video. When I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, it looks alright." But like when I started fucking around, like trying to recut it, I started seeing a lot of potential for it. I mean, because at first it's like unbelievable. I mean, like putting all that shit in Mortal Kombat shit in the real world. Mortal Kombat is kind of, you know, it's unbelievable to begin with, but once you're like, okay, Baraka was a doctor who flipped out and somehow learned martial arts when he flipped out, and, you know, puts these blades in his arms and shit, kills all these people. That's a bit of a stretch. And then Reptile has that real world disorder, or disease, I should say. Children are born like that. And that video they took was actually a video from YouTube, believe it or not. Or from no, not YouTube. It was on the news first, but that video has been all over YouTube. The video of the baby with that disease. But if your baby has that disease, they won't live to 30. So, like, if you know that going in, it's like, okay, but you can see why they did it. It makes obvious sense. Scorpion, I like what they did with Scorpion. I think it was kind of weird that his eyes were white. Well, I mean, they're white in the game, but in real world, it's like, I don't know. You don't picture an assassin just wanting to wear contacts. Like, there'd have to be some sort of reason his eyes were white. I guess I was thinking about it too much. Like, I put too much thought into it when I first saw it. if you just suspend your disbelief for a while, you know, it's definitely a lot of fun. And I did like the fight scene with Johnny Cage and Baraka. Baraka is played by Lateef Crowder, I think it's pronounced. He plays Eddie Gordo in the upcoming Tekken movie, and he was in the Protector. He was the capoeira guy in the Protector. All right, we're at the end of Game 6, Game 7 in a bit.